The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and for a moment, the entire private dining room fell silent. I stood there, frozen, my uniform soaked with expensive Dom Perignon, listening to the cruel laughter that followed. "Oh my God, did you see that? She can't even hold a tray properly." My stepsister Miranda's voice cut through the air like a knife. "What do you expect from someone like her?" That was Victoria, my stepmother, her perfectly manicured hand covering her mouth in mock concern. "Some people are just born to serve." I felt the hot tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of them. Not in front of all these people who had gathered to celebrate my father's will reading, a will that had left everything to Victoria and Miranda, leaving me with nothing but the clothes on my back. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, kneeling to pick up the broken glass, my hands shaking. "Sorry." Victoria stood up, her designer dress rustling. "You embarrassed us in front of all our friends. Do you know how much that champagne cost?" "More than your monthly salary, I'm sure," Miranda added with a smirk. "Oh wait, you don't even make that much, do you? What is it, minimum wage plus tips?" My stepmother's lawyer friend, Mr. Chen, laughed. "I still can't believe Richard left his daughter working as a waitress. If he could see this." "He did see it," Victoria interrupted, her voice cold. "He saw exactly what she was. A disappointment. That's why he left her nothing." The lie hung in the air like poison. My father hadn't left me nothing. He'd left me his company shares, his properties, his legacy. But 3 days after his funeral, Victoria had produced a revised will, witnessed by people I'd never met, leaving everything to her and Miranda. My lawyer said proving forgery would cost hundreds of thousands in legal fees. Money I didn't have. So here I was, working at the Peninsula restaurant, serving champagne to the very people who had stolen my inheritance. "Clean this up," Victoria commanded. "And bring another bottle. Make sure you don't drop this one, I nodded, not trusting my voice, and hurried toward the kitchen. But as I pushed through the door, the dam broke. The tears I'd been holding back came flooding out, and I couldn't stop them. I couldn't go back out there. I couldn't face them again. I grabbed my coat from the staff room and ran. Out the back exit, into the cold November rain, not caring about my shift or my job or anything except getting away from those laughing faces and cruel words. The rain mixed with my tears as I stumbled down the alley behind the restaurant. I'd lost everything. My father, my home, my inheritance, my dignity. And now probably my job too. "Wait." The voice came from behind me, deep and commanding. I didn't stop. I couldn't let anyone see me like this. "Please wait." A hand caught my arm gently, and I spun around, ready to pull away. But the words died in my throat. The man standing before me was tall, probably in his early 30s, wearing an impeccably tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. His dark hair was slightly damp from the rain, and his eyes, deep brown and intense, were fixed on me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "I'm sorry," I said automatically, wiping my face. Did I do something to your table? I can go back." "No." He shook his head. "You didn't do anything to me. I was in the adjacent private room. I heard everything." My face burned with humiliation. Course, the walls between those private dining rooms weren't soundproof. "Then you'll understand why I need to go." "I understand why you want to go," he corrected, his hand still on my arm, gentle but firm. "But I don't think you should. At least not like this." I let out a bitter laugh. "Like what?" "Crying in the rain. It's very dramatic, I know. But I don't have anywhere else to cry, so if you'll excuse me." "They're wrong about you." Those 4 words stopped me cold. I looked up at him, really looked at him, and saw something unexpected in his eyes. Not pity. Something else. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition. "You don't know anything about me," I said quietly. "I know you held your head high in there until you couldn't anymore. I know you apologized for something that wasn't your fault. I know you worked a shift serving people who treated you like you were invisible. He paused. And I know what it's like to be underestimated. Somehow I doubt that, I said, gesturing to his suit. His watch. A Patek Philippe that I recognized from my father's collection. A slight smile touched his lips. You'd be surprised. I'm Alexander Chen. Alex. Chen. My eyes widened. As in Chen Technologies Chen. As in the lawyer's son Chen, he confirmed. David Chen is my father. I was at your stepmother's table for about 5 minutes before I excused myself to take a business call. I heard the whole thing through the wall. Course. His father was the one who'd laughed about my situation. Then you know I'm exactly what they said. A waitress with nothing. You're not nothing, he said firmly. And you're not just a waitress. You're Sophia Hartwell. Richard Hartwell's daughter. I knew your father. My breath caught. You knew him. He was a client. One of my first when I took over as CEO of Chen Technologies 3 years ago. He was brilliant, kind, and he talked about you constantly. He was so proud of you. Fresh tears spilled down my cheeks. He left me nothing. That's not true. Alex's voice was quiet but certain. Richard Hartwell would never have done that. Which means either that will is forged, or there's information you don't have. My lawyer says. Get a new lawyer. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. This is my personal attorney. Margaret Wu. Tell her I sent you. She doesn't lose cases. I stared at the card in his hand, not taking it. I can't afford. She'll work pro bono for now. I'll cover the initial consultation. He saw me about to protest and added, consider it a favor for your father. He helped me when I needed it. Let me help you now. Why? The question burst out of me. Why would you do this for a stranger? Alex was quiet for a moment, rain streaming down his face. Because 6 years ago I was where you are now. My father had just pushed me out of the family business, said I was too young, too inexperienced, too idealistic. I had nothing but a rejected business plan and a dream. Your father gave me my first contract. He believed in me when no one else did. He told me, people will try to make you small to feel big. Don't let them. Those words. My father had said the same thing to me, hundreds of times. He also told me, Alex continued, that if anything ever happened to him, if his daughter ever needed help, I should be there. So here I am. I took the card with shaking hands. I don't know what to say. Say you'll fight back. Say you won't let them win. His eyes held mine. Say you'll let me help you. Why do I feel like there's more to this than just returning a favor to my father? A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Because you're perceptive. Your stepmother's company has been trying to acquire one of my suppliers, Hartwell Industries. Your father's original company, the one he built before he married Victoria. If she gets it, she'll have leverage over my entire supply chain. I need that company to stay independent. And you think I can help with that? I think if you're Richard Hartwell's legitimate heir, you have more power than you realize. And I think together, we might be able to stop Victoria from destroying everything your father built. I looked at this stranger, this CEO who had followed me into the rain, who knew my father, who was offering me a lifeline when I had nothing. Could be a trap. Could be another humiliation waiting to happen. But what did I have to lose? Okay, I said. I'll fight. The smile that spread across Alex's face was genuine and warm. Good. Now let's get you out of this rain. Do you have somewhere to stay? The question hit harder than I expected. I've been staying at a hostel. Since they kicked me out of the house. His jaw tightened. Not anymore. I have a guest apartment in my building. It's empty, fully furnished. You'll stay there. I can't. Yes, you can. Consider it part of our business arrangement. You can't fight effectively if you're exhausted and homeless. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling my driver. We'll get your things from the hostel, and then we're going to Margaret's office. She works late. By tonight, you'll have a legal strategy. I'm still in my work uniform, I protested weakly. Sophia. He said my name like it mattered. Your stepmother made you feel small tonight. Are you going to let that define you, or are you going to show her who you really are? I straightened my shoulders. Let's go get my inheritance back. Margaret Wu's office was in a gleaming high-rise in the financial district. She was a small woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Chen, she greeted Alex with a nod, then turned to me. And you must be Sophia Hartwell. I've been expecting you. Expecting me? I looked at Alex in surprise. Margaret smiled slightly. Your father visited me 6 months before he died. He said he was concerned about his wife's activities and wanted to ensure certain documents were safe. He left a sealed envelope with me, to be opened only if you came seeking legal help regarding your inheritance. My heart pounded. What documents? Video testimony, for one thing. Financial records. And a copy of his actual will, the real one, notarized and witnessed by people I personally vetted. Margaret pulled out a file. Victoria Hartwell forged that will, Ms. Hartwell. Your father knew she might try. He prepared for it. Tears streamed down my face as Margaret opened the envelope and showed me my father's familiar handwriting. If you're reading this, Sophia, something has happened to me. Don't let Victoria take what's yours. Fight for it. Believe in you. Love, Dad. Why didn't he just change everything while he was alive? Yes. He tried, Margaret said grimly. But Victoria had convinced him to put most assets in joint ownership. Changing that would have triggered a divorce, and your father. He didn't want to believe she was capable of what she was doing. He kept hoping she'd change. But he made sure you'd have the proof you needed. What do we do now? Now we file suit for fraud, forgery, and theft. We present the real will to probate court. And we freeze all of Victoria's access to Hartwell assets pending investigation. Margaret's smile was sharp. Your stepmother made one critical mistake. She assumed you'd be too broken and too poor to fight back. She didn't count on you having allies. I looked at Alex, who had been quietly watching this exchange. Thank you, I whispered. Thank your father, he said. He planned this. I'm just making sure his plan succeeds. The next 3 months were a whirlwind. Margaret moved with devastating efficiency. The forged will was exposed. Victoria and Miranda were arrested for fraud. The assets were frozen, and the real will, leaving everything to me, was validated. But it wasn't easy. Victoria fought back with everything she had, dragging my name through the media, claiming I was an ungrateful daughter conspiring with my boyfriend Alex to steal her inheritance. Alex never wavered. He stood beside me at every court hearing, every press conference. His support gave me strength when I wanted to give up. And somewhere along the way, between strategy sessions and legal battles, something shifted between us. Started small. A coffee he'd bring to morning meetings because he'd memorized how I took it. The way he'd catch my eye across the courtroom and give me a small nod of encouragement. Late nights working on case files in his apartment, surrounded by Chinese takeout containers and legal documents, where he'd tell me stories about my father that made me laugh through my tears. He once told me, Alex said one night, sitting across from me on his couch, that the best business decisions come from the heart, not the head. I didn't understand it then. I thought business was all about logic and strategy. And now, yes, now I think he meant that caring about people, about doing the right thing, that's not weakness. That's wisdom. His eyes met mine. He also told me I'd know I'd found the right person when I couldn't imagine facing a day without them. My breath caught. Alex! I know this is complicated, he said quickly. I know we're in the middle of a legal battle, and you probably see me as just a business ally or a friend of your father's. But Sophia, every day for the past 3 months, I've watched you grow stronger and more confident. I've seen you become the woman your father always knew you could be. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you. Tears pricked my eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness anymore. That night in the rain when you came after me, I thought you were just being kind. That it was obligation to my father. It was obligation, he admitted. At first. But by the time we reached Margaret's office, it was something else. When you straightened your shoulders and said you'd fight back, I saw fire in your eyes that I recognized. 'Cause I've had that same fire. And I knew I wanted to be there to see you burn down everything that tried to diminish you. I moved closer to him on the couch. You know what my father used to say? He said the right person doesn't complete you, they help you complete yourself. Smart man. He was. I reached for Alex's hand. And I think he'd be happy to know that his daughter and the CEO he believed in found each other. Is that a yes? Alex asked, hope and vulnerability mixing in his expression. That's a yes to trying, I said. To seeing where this goes. To not running away when things get complicated. He smiled, that genuine warm smile I'd come to treasure. I can work with that. When he kissed me, it felt like coming home. The final court hearing was on a Tuesday in March, 4 months after that night in the rain. I walked into the courtroom wearing a navy suit, one of many I'd purchased with my now restored access to my father's accounts. My hair was styled professionally. My spine was straight. But most importantly, I carried myself like someone who knew her worth. Victoria and Miranda sat with their lawyers, both looking pale and defeated. The evidence against them was overwhelming. The forged will, the fake witnesses who'd confessed, the paper trail of money they'd been siphoning from my father's accounts for years before his death. The judge's ruling was swift. The will of Richard Hartwell, dated March 15th, presented by Margaret Wu, is hereby declared authentic and valid. The will dated April 2nd, presented by Victoria Hartwell, is declared fraudulent. Victoria Hartwell and Miranda Hartwell are hereby ordered to return all assets acquired through fraud. Additionally, they are to be bound over for criminal trial on charges of forgery, fraud, and theft. Victoria's face crumpled. Miranda started crying. Felt nothing. Not triumph, not anger. Just a quiet sense of justice being served. As we left the courtroom, Alex's hand found mine. How do you feel? Like I can breathe again, I said honestly. Like the weight I've been carrying is finally gone. Margaret joined us in the hallway. Congratulations, Ms. Hartwell. You're now one of the wealthiest women under 30 in the city. What will you do with it? I thought about this question a lot. First, I'm going to establish a foundation in my father's name to help people who've lost their inheritances to fraud. So they don't have to work as waitresses and cry in the rain because they can't afford legal help. Your father would be proud, Margaret said, her eyes suspiciously bright. Second, I continued, looking at Alex, I'm going to invest in Chen Technologies. I believe in their CEO. Alex's smile was brilliant. That CEO believes in you too. And third, I finished, I'm going to live. Really live. Not as Richard Hartwell's daughter or Victoria's victim, or even as a CEO's girlfriend. Just as Sophia. Whoever that turns out to be. I can't wait to find out, Alex said softly. 6 months later, I stood in the Peninsula Restaurant's main dining room, but this time I wasn't wearing a waitress uniform. I was wearing an evening gown, standing beside Alex at a charity gala for the Hartwell Foundation. The restaurant's manager approached us nervously. Ms. Hartwell, I want to apologize again for. It's fine, Mr. Park, I interrupted gently. You weren't the one who humiliated me. And I understand you were just doing your job. Still, I should have. You should have done exactly what you did, I said. Because if you hadn't, I might never have run out into that rain. I might never have met Alex. I might never have fought for what was mine. Smiled. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best things. After he left, Alex pulled me closer. Do you ever think about that night? All the time, I admitted. I think about the girl who ran out crying, who thought she had nothing, who felt small and powerless. And I'm grateful to her. She survived. She fought. She became who I am now. I looked up at him. Who we are now. Together, he confirmed. Across the room, I saw some of Victoria's old friends, the ones who'd laughed that night. They were staring at us with expressions ranging from shock to envy. One of them started to approach, probably to apologize or curry favor now that I was back on top. "Should we go?" Alex asked, sensing my discomfort. Thought about it. The old Sophia, the one from 6 months ago, would have run. But I wasn't her anymore. "No," I said firmly. "I'm not running away anymore. I'm not hiding. I'm not shrinking to make anyone comfortable. I'm Sophia Hartwell, and I belong here." Alex's kiss on my temple was proud and tender. "Yes, you do." As the gala continued around us, I realized something profound. The title of my life story wasn't the CEO who saved me, or the waitress who became rich. It was simply the woman who learned to save herself. Alex hadn't rescued me. He'd reminded me that I could rescue myself, that I was never as powerless as people wanted me to believe. And that made all the difference.